Hello everyone, this is Venus Brown back again with another episode of The Crown Season 2. This will be episode 6. Now I'm probably not going to get the name of this episode right, but I will try. Vergangenheit. I'm assuming something like Fahrenheit because the name. I did look enough into it because I was trying to get a good background. I looked enough into it to see that this was an episode that involved Nazi Germany from before when the Queen's father was king. I think this may actually be one of the few episodes that I do remember little bits and pieces of. If it is the same episode, I am expecting a little bit of a dust up because of I think it was past family influences with Nazis and with Hitler, frankly. So I don't imagine this will be the most comfortable episode for the Crown themselves. Let's get to it.
We got something.
This guy sounds way too American. Are these American soldiers? I think I recognize that patch. I'm gonna have to look into that. Marburg Castle. This is the castle of my background. I tried really hard to find an actual image of this since I still can't remember how to get the screen print. It took me forever, but I finally found it. The one guy looked like he was wearing a private first class patch, which would be emblematic in America. I don't know what the ranks are like in Europe, so that other patch, the unit patch, looked familiar too. So, and those guys definitely sounded very American. I am a little cold, so I may have to get a jacket soon. This room unfortunately stays a significant amount colder than the rest of the house.
Don't you knock, sir?
Sounds like my mom. Sometimes things are a little too pressing to think about knocking.
These papers must never see the light of day, Winston. Ever.
Yes, but it
Here,
could
but
creep
shave
up at
off.
any point, like things like that often do.
If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want more content, click subscribe. If you click that little bell and click all, then you'll get more content notifications.
All right, I'm back. Before I start the show, I wanted to give a little bit of news of what's going on in my life. My oldest kid just left yesterday. He's going to be moving in with his boyfriend's parents all the way in New York. Not New York City. This is like a small town in between Rochester and Syracuse, New York. And we live in Florida, so it's a pretty big distance. But this is like first full day with him not being around. And I just realized that he's one of the main people that drinks coffee with me, and he won't be here. One other thing, I had tried to get the full 4 last episodes of House of the Dragon on, and for some reason, the last 2 episodes, when I tried to edit them on the photo editor, the videos do not play. They were done the same way as all the other videos were, but for some reason those ones won't play. I managed to get them onto Clipchamp, and I think that's actually a better program, but when I got it all done and tried to export it, it just kept crashing. It didn't crash the computer, but the program itself crashed every time I tried to export. So I couldn't do that. I tried moving it over to my husband's computer that has much better resources, but I think because it came from my computer and I had to move it, it just didn't, it shows the video and everything, but it won't let it export. And I also tried to do it using the browser version of Clipchamp, but that one basically did the same thing. I have one more thing I'm going to try before I decide to completely re-record the whole thing. Ooh. TV evangelists. Not people I have a whole heck of a lot of respect for. Now that I appreciate. Preaching hope rather than hell and brimfire. I really am not a big fan of churches that teach hell and brimfire. And I am not a religious person. I think I've said this plenty of times, but I know a lot of people don't watch much of my videos, so not a very religious person. I have been in the past, but I've always been a progressive Christian. And my favorite church is United Church of Christ, and it was a church that is considered free and affirming, and very, very liberal and progressive. I wonder. I saw these pictures when I was trying to find a background, and I was wondering what that was. I had no idea it would be a birthday party for the dog. That's so cute. Cosplay for the crown. He looks so depressed.
At least that way I get to be queen once.
Oh my gosh. Like a costume ball or something like that. Shells.
Life of pleasure really has its limits.
Try a life spent living with you.
Ooh.
My
Rocks in the
motto,
marriage.
Prince of Wales, was Ich die.
What else is deeply rooted within your family? Delusion. They won't let you in the country, let alone give you a job.
That's not what my lawyer says.
You've spoken to George? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, I'm telling you now.
To meet Reverend Graham. Do you think that could be arranged?
Really? No.
The evangelist.
What?
Yes?
You have to be careful, though, ma'am.
Yeah, that could look really bad.
To endorsement of his crusades, which will not be compatible with your well-established church. If you ask me.
So they have this little back and forth. He's
Yes.
like, no. She's like, yes.
Yes. Let him come.
Actually, it's not like I know the guy personally, but from what I see of the character on here, I kind of like him, and it's sad to see like his relationship like it is, because that's one of the things that I do kind of like to see is their bubbly relationship that they usually seem to have. So I actually felt like I had a little bit of tears starting to form in my eyes seeing them arguing with each other. And I know married couples, they go through that. Sometimes even the happiest of couples have hard times. He seems very sad and depressed. And even though she usually seems to be like very like in sync with him and everything, it seems like that's one of those points where she's just like, I've heard this so many times and I'm just so sick and tired of it. And I understand that because I go through the same, not this from the exact same kind of stuff, but I go through those same feelings with my husband, feeling like I've just heard all this stuff so many times before and I'm just sick of it.
Right. But his are not. That's right. I have access to the US State Department duplicate files, including this.
Nothing to stop the American government publishing if the British government won't.
Slightly by a large group of welcoming supporters who cheered my name and removed their hats.
The red and white stripes.
Sent me one of the hearses.
Is that something other than Where's Waldo?
Rosie,
Your Royal Highness,
how are you?
Is that his real name? I'm assuming it's a nickname,
George
but why
excelled,
would
as
you
ever,
call
and
somebody
revealed the word
fruity?
he had already.
is a person in whom Christ dwells. It's Christ in you, the hope of glory.
I could go
It
along with
means
that.
as Savior. And that is what a Christian is.
She's just eating it up.
I enjoyed that very much.
lovely as queen to be able to just disappear and be...
A simple Christian.
Yes. He's been such a good speaker.
I was actually a shy child.
No.
Yeah, I find a lot of
Speaking as a
people that
shy
are
child
shy
myself, I have to say that I find that very hard to believe.
sometimes do fairly well. Hey, I find that it seems like there's actually a lot of people who may be shy in certain situations, socially awkward, for various reasons, myself included, that in some situations, like maybe they're good at speaking in front of a big crowd. Maybe they're good at being an actor or actress on TV or being in a play. Maybe they're good at doing YouTube videos, things like that. When I was working in the autism unit at one of the local elementary schools, a lot of the kids that I worked with really struggled a lot with communication, with education, and stuff like that. And there was this one child, like usually he really struggled with social situations, being around people and talking to people and everything. But you hand him a microphone and he just eats it all up, and he'll walk around and he will talk to everyone like he's a TV broadcaster, and he'll have full conversations with you that way. But without that microphone, he won't do it. I found that interesting. But I do know I have heard a lot of like interviews from people. I've seen a lot of situations where people that are celebrities, they're actors or actresses, singers, dancers, all sorts of performers, sports celebrities, and people on YouTube, educators who say that they usually are very shy. They prefer their own company. They're not very comfortable with being in social situations, yet there's like one or two things that they seem to excel at or that they're really comfortable with. Like myself, I'm not very comfortable with this. I try to. I know that I can speak decently, but for some reason, when I try to do YouTube videos, it's like I have this struggle speaking. It's so weird because if I'm doing a speech in front of a group of people that's about something that I'm passionate about, I can speak no problem. And I do well, and I'll get compliments from people that I should be this and I should be that and all of that. It's gratifying. But then when I'm in this situation, it seems so much more difficult. So that's weird. That's weird. But it's the truth. Like in front of the camera, trying to make content is a little more challenging, and I didn't think it would be that way. Sometimes carry on and on. I hope that doesn't bother people too much because it's just kind of how I am. And I was thinking about this too when I've been trying to do the Blast from the Past of Handmaid's Tale, is that I want to do it like very fast and more upbeat. It's a very like depressing show in some ways, but I want to do it more fast and upbeat. Sometimes where I'm just like, that's not how I'm feeling that day. It's like slow and staggered.
Cecily said
Sir.
Cecil, I think we've heard a
Why
few
we're here
times in
tonight.
this show.
Service.
Oh, I like that idea.
Don't
Yeah.
the Americans have these unofficial roving
Ambassadors.
ambassadors nowadays?
Yes, 2 in London at the moment.
Oh, well, something like that would be ideal.
Well, I think we have.
My day, wait and pray. But all taste for prayer has left me as I survey the madness involving the American evangelist here. What has happened to the people of this country? Turning the... Ready for your answer.
Oh, I saw some really awesome images of this whole
I
area
received a visit yesterday
online.
afternoon from
Like
John Raymond
they were
Niven,
images of uh, the
the
making of the
senior historian in
scenes,
charge of
and
publishing
they
the
were so
German war
bright and
files.
colorful. She's looking very upset.
Negotiate his freedom and to escape trial.
That's a dangerous game.
And we could contain this.
That's your lot?
Unaware that a copy had been sent to the Americans, who are now insisting that this volume of the Marburg files be published.
I could look at would be the role of ambassador to France.
I wonder how you get a position as an ambassador without being somebody royal or without being really high on the totem pole. Crown, you're going to be facing a massive uphill battle, especially now.
A brief trip.
How is this meeting going to go?
No longer a young man, I am also not yet an old one, and might be able to usefully serve the crown.
You had a chance to serve this country. I'm sure that you'd do all three jobs very well indeed. What I've recently learned about...
About what?
about events that's desire for peace was in complete agreement with your own point of view.
So I think this is a challenging situation. I've heard from other people who lived in Germany around the time of Hitler's rise and fall.
As king,
And their main statement is that at the beginning, they had no clue what was going on, and that he was very charismatic, and that a lot of people supported him. And when things started going downhill, like a lot of them didn't even realize what was happening. But there was general support for a lot of his ideas at the beginning. Is claiming that he's promoting peace, like the stuff that maybe got people to support him in the first place. Like, I know there were a lot of underhanded ways that Hitler kind of got in, promising like everything that you want in the world for their world to be greater and better. And it wasn't until later on that people started to see the really underhanded crap that he was doing. You know, and there are things dealing with communism, with socialism, and stuff like that, that on the surface, before corruption sets in, that their definition of what they are and what they purport to try to bring to the world sounds really good on paper. But then you start getting the wrong people in power and they corrupt the whole thing for the point that things start going awry, that you start to actually see the cracks and see the corruption and see the evil that's going on underneath. Before that point, I could see how there would be a lot of people in upper leadership positions that might go beyond just a place of complacency. Let's take a look at exactly what he's going to say for himself, because I don't remember it enough to remember what his reasoning was. It's so interesting that people in our country see the military as such a great part of their country, yet it is entrenched in one of the systems that they seem so vehemently against. When people go against the idea of universal health care and stuff like that, that is a disagreement with anything remotely touching socialism being associated with our government. Yet, our military, we have free health care, free food, free place to stay. Sure, it's with your job. It is because you are doing a job, sacrificing yourself for the country. And I see it as very much a socialist system. I know, I keep going on and on. I'm taking way too long.
There was no indication of who Hitler would become. When peace was all that mattered to me. These papers for what they are.
Will they?
Baseless rumors and
Will they?
Forgiveness.
Goodness, what have I done now?
He just assumes it's him.
Uncle David.
But let's remember,
He's
forgiveness
explained
is not about the person. It's actually about the person doing the forgiveness. Now move on from
Shall
it.
we, ma'am?
I'm proposing
To reinstate the Duke of Windsor as King of England, effectively betraying and dethroning your dear late father in return for German forces being given free rein across Europe. German troops were even promised to quell a colonial rebellion, if necessary. Continued slaughter of his fellow countrymen and former subjects would, I quote, soon make Britain ready for peace.
Okay, gotta talk again. Because holy cow. This goes along with something I had said in one of the other episodes where this idea of using military power and prowess to achieve peace. And I know there are people that vehemently believe this stuff, that go along with it. This idea that you just have a fucking powerful enough bomb and bomb them into submission, and then you'll have this long-lasting peace after. And that's kind of what this sounds like, this idea that if we, obliterate people enough, scare them enough, you're using the military to gain submission of your people to attain peace. Okay? And that I do not agree with. I don't think regular subjects should be subject to that. I think it's wrong. I think it's freaking horrible. Name of security, in the name of peace. But it's at what cost? At the cost of fear and anxiety, depression, like all the horrible negative crap that goes on during positions of martial law and high surveillance and security, your military, your police and stuff like that, patrolling the area all the time. That stuff is not good and healthy for the freaking society and community. Ugh. Anyway, I should just let this go. Could I possibly get through the rest of the show without another long diatribe? I doubt it. I think she needs to work towards forgiveness, but not right now. I think at that point she needs to wait. I like her dress. Unlike some of the other ones that I talk about, that they're very, like, ornate and pretty and everything. That one I think is more on the plain side, but I like the way it is. I think it's classy and that kind of dress,
I'm sure you don't need reminding.
as long as it fits properly, actually looks good on me, which is nice because I'm a big girl. Throw it back in his face.
Our ears.
The specific thing.
How on earth can you forgive yourself?
Make him look at himself. But will he? Question. Why can't he get a job that makes him feel fairly fulfilled where he is in something that doesn't involve the permission of the crown?
Reverend
That's
Graham,
one thing I don't understand.
Your Majesty.
Again? I obviously don't have the most positive opinion about Billy Graham.
Reverend Graham.
No one is beneath forgiveness. Dying on the cross, Jesus himself asked the Lord to forgive those that killed him.
Yes. They do. It was conditional.
True. But he still forgave. But we need not be unchristian ones.
And I think there are other examples of forgiveness in the Bible that aren't just, involving people that didn't know what they did. There are
one asks for forgiveness,
people in the Bible that
oneself,
preach in the
humbly
Bible
and sincerely,
who know very well that
and
they
one prays
had
for those
these
that one
horrible
cannot forgive.
proclivities, still became like very famous, like well-known prophets, even with the outward knowledge of their previous sins. Some of them that continued their sins. I don't know how they worked that out, because there's this idea that you're supposed to gain forgiveness of sins, but that you're supposed to walk away from them, that you're supposed to lead another life. But even still, forgiveness, it's not supposed to be conditioned on whether the person knew or didn't know what they were doing was wrong. It's not supposed to be conditioned on how good or bad the horrible thing was.
Saying one for me.
Not on this occasion, no.
Go on. Put a word. We want
Oh
to
my
have
gosh.
the big man upstairs as head of his church.
Oh, you're drunk.
I am.
Duh. You could tell that as soon as he walked in.
Which is?
You. And the heroic way you kicked that wretched fool out today, tail between his legs.
It was hardly heroic.
On the contrary. And a gold star from me.
What are you doing?
Is he in the mood because of this? Oh my god. My goodness. Alright, everyone. So that was episode 6, season 2 of The Crown. That was quite an episode, and I did remember little bits of it, so I was actually able to chime in at the beginning of the episode from what I remembered. But I didn't remember a lot of it. And there was a lot of stuff that was really making me think, so I had a lot to say. I hope that's not a problem. I know some people don't like the whole going on and on about political stuff, but I mean, how is this not important enough to freaking talk about? It is. It's important stuff to talk about. So, all right, I'll see you next time. Season 2, episode 7 of The Crown.
Until next time, I'll see you when I see you. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want more content, click subscribe. If you click that little bell and click all, then you'll get more content notifications.